Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. You see him there on the screen. He does the best job covering the Browns. He's seen it all. He's lived through it all. And now I guess, something maybe you've never seen before. It's Zac Jackson, Joe Flacco at 40 years old. Turned back the clock yet again. Let's jump right into it. I know... Flacco, when he was here last time, there was some great moments. Did you think he had a game like that left in him?
I did, if he got those receivers, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're probably right that I've seen it all. I don't know we could prove that in a court of law, but that's because last night is the first time I saw the Browns have an awful Thursday night game when they weren't even playing.
It's amazing.
Right? And it's funny to us.
Yeah.
Look, I'm of the belief that when it goes bad, it goes bad. And everybody after week 2 and week 3 wanted to rush to judgment on this team. And they're probably going to be right about those judgments, right? But the body of work's going to show itself. The avalanche is apparently here. You have a team that can't score, that's trotting out the worst receiving core in the league. And you traded a quarterback 10 days ago, and he just went out and did that to the team that you couldn't get a touchdown against. So You're not winning the optics. You're not winning the line of scrimmage. Jerry Jeudy's the most embarrassing player in the NFL, right? And the list goes on.
Yeah.
And it's only week 7.
Yeah, and it's not like there's Joe Burrow coming back in a few months to save you.
Right. He's not in the bullpen here.
No. And who do you think looks like the optics are worse for who after last night? Is it Andrew Berry? Is it Kevin Stefanski? Is it the players? Or is it all of them?
Yeah, I would say it's Andrew Berry.
Yeah.
But let's be, what went on with Flacco, what didn't go on with Flacco, what's going on is not on one person. It's not on one decision. But when you look at the state of the offense, the multiple parts, the quarterback situation is bad. The receiver situation is all-time bad. And the worst problem the Browns have is their offensive line.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is the way to say it. So that reflects on the guy who puts on the roster. So the coaching has not been good. The construction is worse. What they're trying to do after last week serves as a mystery. And look, everybody gets a bad game, and every team has angst right now. Every team has a concern going forward. Every team has a guy playing this Sunday that they're not comfortable about. Right. Well, the Browns have that at multiple tackle spots, at multiple receiver spots, at quarterback, and I think the defense last week, Bull, just played like a group that had been on this long road trip, which is not their fault, but had a starter traded at 11 o'clock on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make too much of what Miles says, because what Miles said last year kind of combined with the state of the team makes us as the ones asking the questions almost bait him into trying to say something. And he kind of looks at us like, what do you want me to say? Right. But I will tell you this, it's not what he said. Usually after games, Miles is like 45 minutes. Miles is 45 minutes late to his interview on Friday after practice. He's getting himself ready. He's doing his thing. When he comes to the press conference, he's fully dressed. He's thought about what he's going to say. He's handled all his business with the trainers, the teammates. Mm-hmm. Last week, he was in about 7 minutes. Like, let's go. I'm ready to get home. And that kind of says it all. And so am I, but it's only October 15th.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, it's funny. I was saying the other day that we wait all in sports talk, whether it's what I'm doing, podcast or whatever version of sports talk you want, we kind of wait all year for football so we can watch games and break down games and get into the nitty gritty of that. But at this point, when I came on after the Browns lost to Pittsburgh, I barely talked about the game, beyond that they just got smoked, because when you get to this point in the season when the team where it feels completely hopeless, the breakdown of the game doesn't matter. That's a depressing place to be.
Yeah, when I got done yesterday talking to you guys on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, I was like, that's the worst interview I've ever done. And the reason is what else am I supposed to say? No, we talk about it year round, and the NFL has created this monster that's 360 days a year.
Yeah.
And every summer I joke that the number one thing that interrupts great offseason analysis is actual games. Right. But one of the problems here, Bull, is that hasn't happened because the offense is just even worse than we thought it would be.
Yeah.
The defense is fine. It's been great in moments.
Yeah.
Even the greatest defenses aren't great for 17 weeks. And they're not doing any other little things. I expected a better start from the offense last week, even if the result was less than 10 points. It wasn't there. The special teams consistently stink.
Yeah.
Right. The ball going off Isaiah Bond's helmet
Oh my
is
God.
honestly, this doesn't get talked about because of like what happened last night, for
Yeah,
example.
right, yeah.
But that's honestly like a top 10 embarrassing moment if you really take a look at it. Because this guy is playing because you have no one else. He missed all of camp because he was charged, with this crime. You bring him in, you say he's great. He's got to play because you have no one else.
Yeah.
You get to the 3-yard line, you won't give the ball to the best player on your offense, and you throw to a wide open guy, a quarterback who's totally overmatched and has gotten his ass kicked all day, throws to a wide open guy, and it bounces off his helmet.
Yeah.
And they don't score.
Not only bounces off his helmet, but he wasn't even looking at it.
Correct.
It wasn't like he hit the front of his helmet.
So that is like a top 10 most embarrassing moment.
I mean, it is. And your best player that you didn't give the ball, he missed all training camp too.
Sure. And that is partly why he's not playing. Like there are just situations that he didn't go over.
Yeah.
Right. And also some of it is the reality of they knew they weren't winning that game. Did they want a touchdown there? Were they in it? But like they're not going to play Quinshon Judkins 60 snaps in a game that they can't win. And people can argue with that.
Yeah.
But that's what they've always done. I mean, when they were rolling with these backs, Nick Chubb played the first 2 drives. Kareem Hunt played drive 3, and they split it from there. And obviously it was mostly Chubb. But like there were situations where guys were saved, where carries were limited. And they believe in that. In when you are a functional franchise like that kind of thinking and planning can pay off. What's happening here is they have guys who are not ready, Bull, because they did not have training camp. Because in the case of Isaiah Bond, he does not belong on an NFL field.
No, you're right. I mean, their wide receiving core doesn't belong on the field. The quarterback shouldn't be on the field now. The tackles shouldn't be on the field. It's almost the entire offensive roster.
Let me point this out.
Yeah.
They traded for KT Levison. They gave up a 2028 7th-round pick in August of 2025, right? So they were second in the waiver wire. So what that meant is they had just watched him play. The Rams came here and played the preseason finale, obviously, right? And they thought they needed him. So they thought, well, we can't let the Rams change their minds over the next few hours, and we can't let the Titans claim him. So they were willing to give up which is fine. Like they needed a guy in the pipeline, but he's playing. And he's historically bad by PFF grading, and he's playing both tackles, and you want to mix him in. I mean, he's a young guy. You think he can develop into something. That's why you go get him. But he's playing left tackle, and he's getting destroyed.
Yeah.
And you're like, you chose this offensive line group.
Yeah.
Cornelius Lucas is going to go back and start at right tackle on Sunday. I'm 90% sure.
Yeah.
But he has been a healthy scratch the last 2 games after starting at both tackle spots for you over the first month of the season.
And the only guy you actually drafted recently can't get on the field.
Does not get a helmet. Has dressed for 1 game.
I mean, it's amazing. I think a lot of fans are getting caught up in Joe Flacco played great, and that's the indictment of Andrew Berry. I actually don't think, Joe Flacco at this point, first of all, you'd benched him, so he wasn't going to help you anyway. And if you're the Browns, you don't care if the Bengals win or the Steelers win. I don't think you really care about that. It's as you said, it's the embarrassment of that Joe Flacco, with all his limitations at 40 years old, looked so bad because you had absolutely no help. And it's not like, obviously the Bengals have way better wide receivers than the Browns, but it's not like the Bengals are better at running back. They're not really better at tight end. And the offensive line, both offensive lines have issues. Obviously the Bengals tackles are better than the Browns, clearly.
Yeah, but they're not elite players by any means.
No, not at all. And the Bengals' offensive line had been pretty bad this year and has been pretty bad consistently. They did a good job yesterday, and they just got the ball out quickly. And they did a good job of getting the ball out quickly to those guys.
Yeah, I think more than anything else, right, when you view it through that scope, it's like, what do you want to be mad at with the Browns? Well, you're right.
Right.
The O-line is killing the quarterback. The receivers are killing the quarterback. The quarterback is not throwing it down the field.
Right.
When he does, it's being dropped. So the best throw last week was dropped. Look, if you believe there's no human element to this, then the Joe Flacco trade was absolutely the one to make, right? And if you believe there's a little bit of human element to this, then it probably still was the right one given where the Browns are. But there's a lot of human element to this. And that's why Mike Tomlin was mad, and that's why the locker room was mad. And that's why people are saying, what are you doing? The guy can still play. Like, you're putting out a product that can't do anything, and the guy can still play. Across this league, Bull, there are dozens of players and dozens of teams who are very close and are interchangeable on a talent level.
Yeah.
It's scheme fit. It's what do you learn? It's, what do we need this week? There are players across the league that play 20 snaps 1 week and 60 snaps the next week based on matchup, right? Based on who's available. It's close. Everybody has good players. Right now, the Browns don't have good offensive players except for 2 rookies.
No, it's unbelievable. And I think Jamar Chase had 2 less catches than any Browns receiver has for the season.
Yeah, there's some guys at 20. But yeah, no, he a number I dug up the other day,
Yeah.
Jerome Ford's averaging 3.7 per rush and 3.7 per catch. And that's not an indictment of Jerome Ford. That just kind of says like this is a 3.7 yard team.
If yeah, it 100%. Well, I mean, last week against the Steelers, they averaged 3.3 yards per play. And and again, the Bengals, and say what you want about the Bengals skill position players, their offense looked terrible the last few weeks. Until the second half
They're
last week.
above the Browns in all these categories.
Yeah, so
if I could, I'd pull it up for you right now if I could. But the Browns are, you name an offensive stat pool 6 weeks in, the Browns are bottom 5 in it. Pressure rate allowed, scoring, basic stats, advanced stats you can argue about, stats that you could say don't matter, stats that clearly do matter, right? In like, they won the turnover battle in London. They didn't win. That was part of the frustration. But it's just when you add up all the numbers and match it to the eye test, first of all, it's brutal on the eyes.
Yeah.
But it's the things you have to do to win. Win the turnover battle, be at least decent on third down, run it a little bit. Don't get killed in time of possession. Like they're not there. And when they've been there, something else has gone horribly wrong. Like teams that watch this film of this offense, I'm not going to say they laugh. I'm not going to go hyperbole, but they look and they say, we don't have to defend any passes over 6 yards, right? We know that if we get them in a tough situation, whether it's by penalty or by fumble or us playing good defense, that we will win their one-on-ones against our tackles, right? Like we will allow them to throw 8-yard passes every now and again on 3rd and 7, but we know they're not ever going to beat us over the top. So we're not worried. And that just allowed the Steelers dropped 5 interceptions, being generous.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, certainly. We know Jimmy Haslam to some degree cares about public perception. Between what happened last night, including at the end of the game and the post game where the Bengals fans are chanting "Thank you, Cleveland." If Stefanski's probably not getting fired if they lose, but Miami's as big a disaster as the Browns are right now. It feels like if they lose that game, I feel like that's the beginning of the end for Stefanski, if not the actual end.
Yeah, no, I think we're past the beginning of the end.
Okay, the middle of the end.
We could get into an hour-long discussion in a football field length of gray area here, right? On what it solves to fire a guy and what you do and how you go forward. But yeah, I mean, in the most dysfunctional AFC North that there's ever been.
Yes.
Right. In a year where you clearly have good defense and part of your thinking and whatever it was, it certainly wasn't winning this year. And there are moves to back that up. But it was trying to maximize what you have left in these guys who are 30 and above. And that's many of your good players, right? You expected better. And so maybe it always was the fully on tank and maybe they're going to keep, but like, you just can't see a path right now. So in this league, things change and perceptions change. And clearly with the Haslams, we don't know what they're thinking. But the fact that these conversations that we had in this format and off the air and wherever else in May, in July, on August 29th, the fact that we're having them now on October 16th, and you're saying, hey, if it really goes poorly again Sunday, and evidence says it will, even as bad as the Dolphins are, then why wouldn't they do it? Like, like today I will work on a story that the Browns made sweeping change just to have it ready for Monday, just in case, because that's the reality of the deal.
Yeah, that's smart, and it's could certainly happen. You think McDaniel's gone if they lose?
I don't know. I'm not close enough to their situation, but I just keep saying it like this, Bull, right?
Yeah.
Why does everybody think the GM and coach are getting fired at Miami? Because they're not winning, because the quarterback stinks, because the offensive line stinks, because they haven't drafted well enough. Well, are those valid reasons to move on? Yes. So like people can argue till they're blue in the face. And I think at this point, some Browns fans are arguing just to argue. And for 3 damn decades, they've been conditioned to do that. But like, what's the case for keeping these guys? There are mountains and mountains of evidence that says this thing is a wreck. And when the offensive line is your biggest problem, with this as your quarterback and this is your receiving core, you're sunk.
How big a hill compared to other owners is Jimmy Haslam to climb for whoever takes over this team?
It's a big one.
Yeah.
But they pay well. They have spent well.
Yes.
And like, that's supposed to be an advantage, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like when, you talk about the guards too, right?
Yeah.
Like when we talk about these things, it's supposed to be an advantage, but it's almost like optically, it's like, oh my God, they've spent their way to nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just lay out the case. The 2024 Browns started as the most expensive roster in the history of the NFL. and they finished 3-14 in a laughingstock, and they're worse this year, 6
They
games.
are. Yeah, 4-19 with the highest payroll over the last 2 years. It really is remarkable. And yes, like you look at again Cincinnati. Mike Brown's a hill to overcome, and he doesn't spend as much money.
Right.
I don't know. I know you know the Bengals organization, obviously not as well as the Browns, but you know it better than a lot of other teams. Is Mike Brown an easier hill to climb in some ways, or no?
It depends, you know.
Yeah.
I think their staff should feel a little bit of heat, right? And
Yeah,
Duke Tobin
absolutely.
should feel a little bit of heat. But
Yeah.
again, this is why you don't, you evaluate what you see.
Yeah.
But like September and early October, like we're just getting started here, and
Yeah.
they'll probably come up short of the playoffs. But like even if they get to the point to where Joe 1 got them close and Joe 2 maybe can come back,
Yeah.
and these young defenders do grow a little bit, then maybe it was a terrible year turned into something.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for in Cleveland. You're looking for a terrible year turned
Yes.
into something.
Right.
And so 4 rookies are off to good starts. That's fine. I think
Yeah.
all 4 of them got humbled to a great extent last week. And that happens.
No doubt.
It's going to happen. It's looking at the state of the offensive line, didn't draft anybody. It's looking at the state of the receiving core. Judy makes $41 million. Isaiah Bond doesn't belong on the field. Jamari Thrash is not an NFL player. Should I go on? Right.
Yeah.
Like it's who's throwing to them. Like, I said in the summer, I'm only going to make one prediction, and that's that this will be the 12th time since 99 that they play at least 3 starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween's not for a couple weeks,
No.
and we're headed there, and it seems like a damn certainty.
No, you're right. I mean, you have roughly 16 spots on the roster at offensive line, wide receiver, and quarterback, and I don't know that I feel good about a single spot of those 16 going into next year.
Yeah, so there's someone I know who played for a long time. I'm not going to say who it is, but he through the years we converse, and he's talked me off the ledge a couple times, and he's told me a lot of things about in his years when he knew it was a good team versus was like how things were handled, how slumps were handled, how idiots in the locker room were handled, how those things were.
Yeah.
And he said after a couple of games ago, he said, listen, these rookies look good. He said they need a quarterback, they need a wide receiver, and they need an offensive tackle. And I said, these rookies look good. They need a quarterback, they need a whole new group of wide receivers, and they need a whole new offensive line. And he said, oh yeah, you're right.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. Just how much work there is to be done, and the fact that the general public doesn't trust the guy making the picks is a problem. Now, ultimately, it only matters if Jimmy Haslam trusts the guy, but I don't know how you could right now.
Yeah, I think the human element is such a big deal, Bull, and I don't think I can bring it to life in this format. And I think unless you're totally in the building all the time, which none of us are, right?
Sure.
We're restricted. You can't fully bring it to life. But like if the losses mount and the numbers continue to be even close to as bad as they are, and like people break because of this, and Miles has another rant, and there is finally a public division between Barry and Stefanski, it's obvious. And the answer is probably obvious, like what this is right now. And I think Kevin's answers and Kevin's face the last couple of weeks have shown it. I mean, it's hopeless. It's hopeless. And so then you have to look and say, what's the body of work? Well, they've never developed a wide receiver, right? Well, they heavily invested in the offensive line, and it worked for a while, and it's not working now, and there's no investment behind it. There's no next button to press.
Right.
And so in year 6, first of all, across the league, almost any coach and GM that makes it to year 6 has won more than one playoff game.
Yes.
That's the
100%.
reality.
Yes.
But you're supposed to have that continuity, that identity. It's supposed to make it easier for you to plug in a guy in week 3 or draft a guy in the 5th round who comes in because he's not a phenomenal player, but he fits what you are. Well, what are these Browns? Besides a complete offensive failure in a playmaking league. And so the people this morning, well, anybody could throw to Higgins and Chase. Well, A, that's not true. But B, the Bengals have those guys because it's a playmakers league. And Joe went to the front office over the last 18 months and said, we can't lose these guys. We have to have these guys.
Yeah, right. It's that simple. And they make a difference. They make a massive difference, even with the struggles on the offensive line. But you can't have if you have bad quarterback, bad O-line, and bad wide receiver, there is zero hope.
Yes, there is zero hope. But again, like Kevin O'Connell was down 4 offensive line. Beat the Browns. And 3 days before that game, Shanahan was down 3 receivers and a tight end, and they're finding a way. And so if they find a way this week, it's fine. It's a temporary Band-Aid. But like along the way, you have to do that. And through Kevin Stefanski's 6 years, he has been good at that, it finding a way and maximize, but it hasn't happened in a while.
No, not the last 2 years. To your point too, the 49ers. I mean, everybody but McCaffrey's hurt, and they're 4-2.
Right. And like, Mac Jones totally dismissed.
Yeah.
It's just little. It's what Daniel Jones is doing. It's what Mac Jones is doing.
Yeah.
This team brought in Pickett and Flacco, and neither one of them's on the team.
Yeah.
And the entire NFL this morning is talking about Joe Flacco.
100%.
Rightly so. And
Zach,
Joe Flacco as a
yeah.
person represents what you want. He's the kind of guy you want to root for.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy you want your organization
doubt.
to be talked about. Not Isaiah Bond running across the field and getting hit in the head.
By the way, did you see any of the post game on Amazon by any chance?
No, it was so much past my bedtime
already
that I was out as soon as it
your point on Flacco is so spot on. Like, he's such a likable guy. And he's like, they asked him because he's there with Chase, and he's like, what's it like throwing to Jamar Chase? And he starts laughing. He's like, after last week's game, I was on the phone with my dad and my brothers, and we were laughing on the phone about how ridiculously good Jamar Chase is.
Yes.
And he's like, this is absurd. He's like, I could throw the ball anywhere. He brought up the point, and it's so noticeable compared to the Browns. He goes, I made some bad throws that, like, a lot of receivers are going to have to, even if they catch it, they got to dive to the ground to catch it. He's like, with Higgins and Chase, they'll grab it with their hands before it gets on the ground, and they won't even be on the ground, and they'll get yards after the catch. And what an advantage that is for a quarterback.
Right. Like the hand strength of Higgins is really like one of those phenomenal things. And he is a top tier talent.
Yeah.
And he is like an eighth as talented as Jamar.
It's wild.
Yes.
It's wild. Zach, great stuff as always, man. Awesome to talk to you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Bull.
All right. Zac Jackson does a great job covering the Browns. There's no doubt about it. He's been covering this team forever. He knows the team extremely well, and it's always great having him in the bullpen. It's always great having you folks in the bullpen as well. Thank you for joining me as always. Before we go, I want to let you know that players who place a qualifying same-game parlay of at least $10 on eligible NFL or NCAA football games will receive one standard entry into the weekly Squares game. Winning standard Squares will be awarded a prize of a $20 bonus bet. See the app and website for more details. And make sure you check out the BetRivers app, BetRivers website. Check it all out. Thanks to Kyle and Ernie for producing today, and thanks to all of you for joining me. I'll be back on Sunday after the Browns play the Dolphins, probably around 4:30, soon after the game ends. Join me live here in the bullpen. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Only 4.8% of YouTube channels, that's less than 5 for those who struggle with math, have 10,000 or more subscribers, and I am 232 subscribers away from 10,000. The goal was to get there by the end of the month. Now the goal is to get there by the end of this weekend. So help me get there. Be one of the be one of the 232 subscribers to get me to 10K and the team here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all for joining me. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by BetRivers. See you, everybody.